Well, apart from Jay, of course.
As we join Christina, Steve, and Shuli, and maybe even a few surprise guests too. Now, before we all turn into blubbering messes, give us a call at 844-J-GREAT.
That's 844-547-3287.
To share your memories of Jay right here on SiriusXM Comedy Greats Channel 94.
All right, welcome everyone. Shuli here with you, along with the whole crew, old and new. That's right. Ira,
There he is.
Ira the weatherman is here.
That is right.
Ira, what would you like to say?
Where the hell is Jay? Late to his own tribute show?
How dare you? How dare you make a joke at a time like this? That was just written minutes ago. Ira,
On the fly.
on the fly. Pleasure to see you, sir.
Pleasure to see you, Shuli. Pleasure to see Christina.
Yes.
And Steve.
Yes, let me
and
introduce.
the other Steve
Sure.
Gomez.
Right.
And
Hey, Ira.
When
listen,
good ideas go
we
bad.
are the number one happy crew in this studio.
We are here.
Something like that.
Yes, Christina Palumbo, producer of the Jay Thomas Show for many years now, along with Steve Gonzalez Gomez. That's the full Cuban
Got a nice
name.
ring to it.
Yeah, he's been producing the show with Christina for a while. A lot of you are tuning in from the Howard side of things, from listening on 101 on Fridays. These guys do the show 4 days a week on this network as of now. And have been on various other networks for quite some time.
No kidding.
And we're here as well as Steve Griffiths, who runs the board for us on Fridays on Jay. And we're all here. We're going to have some visitors coming in that have been a part of the show in the past. We have correspondence from people who have worked on the show, and we're here to celebrate the life, the work, the magic that was and will always be Jay Thomas. None of us knew what to expect when we started working with him. Christina,
oh,
I'm
my
sure.
goodness.
I'm sure it's.
I've got stories and stories and stories.
Well, I know. When we met, years ago here at Sirius, I knew right away how eager you were to be a part of radio and to get into it.
Big time.
And then you get set up with a guy like Jay, and you're very pumped. You're very excited.
Yeah.
And then
he tells me I sound like a complete idiot.
right. That was a beautiful thing about Jay is he never mixed words. He never bullshitted you.
He never did. He was the greatest teacher that I've ever had. I mean, like I've said on Facebook, I didn't go to school for this.
Right.
He was my school. And he
a lot of
hazed
people's.
the shit out of me.
Yeah.
I mean, he really turned me into whoever I am today, which, I mean, whether you think that's good or bad, that's great. But it really, you got to contribute it all to the man with
Steve
his
Griffiths.
name is on the door. Not really.
Steve is a perfect example. He's like, the fourth or fifth guy we've had running the board on Fridays for us.
Yeah.
And every guy.
So special.
And every guy before him has had the pleasure of getting dressed down by Jay to the point where I remember at one time during the Al Ragone years thinking to myself,
Could it ever get any worse?
I just remember thinking to myself, is Jay the greatest actor on the planet of the earth, or is he just a real asshole? And he would go after Al. I mean, you have it
Well,
good.
that's the best is when someone first starts doing that position.
Yes.
The boss has to sit you down and explain. So you're probably going to be crying at the end of the show.
Don't take it personally.
Don't
lecture.
take it personal.
Right. Yeah, and I've seen 3 different people get that lecture on their first day, you being one of them. And it's true. And it was just, but it was a great thing about Jay that, like my dad. My parents are big fans. They want to hear everything I do. My dad stopped listening to Jay's show. Even though I'm on it, he stopped listening to it because Jay tweaked him. Jay pissed him off to the point where he's like, I'm not listening to this anymore. And it wasn't even anything about me. It was just something topical that Jay did. He knew how to push people's buttons. He knew how to get people to call in and give their opinions. Even though one thing that always fascinated me about Jay, he hated taking calls. Not that he hated, but he didn't rely on them. A lot of guys, a lot of shows, that's all they have is their calls. Like this show. You know, we're gonna be expecting your calls, and you'd have to force him to pick up calls,
I
right?
tell him all the time, I've worked on so many different radio shows here. I have never in my life heard a host say, "Clear the phones."
Yeah,
For what? They all have great things. I don't give a shit. I'm moving on. Moving on.
yeah.
He loved to hear that dial tone. It was like a piece of him
Comforting.
he became whole when he heard that dial tone.
Well,
Like he used to say, get him off. Get him off.
or get rid of him, but get him off is good too.
He always used to say, "Please hang up the phone whenever you had a second."
I just and you know another amazing thing, you know.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can I
Yes.
just point out that some things never change?
Yes.
Since about 30 seconds into the show, it seems that, except for the microphones, everything is going wrong technically.
You have no
I'm
idea.
in one
Christina
headphone.
and Steve are struggling
I
back
got
here.
one.
You got one head-
I got one
We have-
headphone working.
So far we
What's
have
going on?
no phones. It's right click, left click. We have no phones. When we were trying to throw everything together on the day that he passed on Thursday, all of our profits melted in front of
Right.
us, and it's him, and it's absolutely him shining down and going, "You assholes! I told you not to do a tribute. This is what you know what I mean, like that kind of."
Meanwhile, let's be honest.
Loves every second of
How
this. He loves
happy
it.
would he be with the coverage that he got
Oh, my God.
on his passing, the day of his passing? First of all,
Finally trending.
no other celebrities died that day, right? So you know that's a
Right.
big win for
Yeah.
him. And he was everywhere.
Everywhere.
And social media was a buzz. Heavyweights commenting on him.
Yeah, all
Not to
those
mention-
heavyweights that I've been reaching out to for years, trying to get on this show. Couldn't get them though. First one's to tweet. Okay.
Name names. Yeah. Been there all along, Jay.
Thanks, Brian Cranston.
Yeah. No, but you know what? Listen, the other cool thing from this horrible thing is how many people have reached out on social media, on every platform. I've seen it on mine. I've seen it on yours, Christina, on Steve's, Zzz's. And I just got to say, where the fuck were you people? You know, when we were trying to go... I mean, what the hell? If I knew this many people were listening, holy hell.
I know. Right?
It's impressive.
It's
It's
pretty
impressive to see people who loved him and people who hated him alike say they're going to miss him.
Yeah, I mean the most common thing that I've been noticing that people are saying is I don't usually care about celebrity deaths, but
Yeah.
this one really, really hurts, and it's because he wasn't like a celebrity. You know, he was
He
so
was definitely an everyman.
good at not being a celebrity.
Yeah.
And you know you called here for him to get rid of you. I mean, like
Yeah.
you want to be abused by the man.
There's people that I saw tweeting out that saying he got rid of me on 3 different occasions. I'm going to miss him.
Yeah, and I loved every single one
Yeah,
of them. It's
yeah.
pretty crazy.
I remember. Yeah, go ahead. What'd you want to
No,
say?
I was gonna say, you know, the show has changed so many lives for so many people because we really are a part of people's lives every single day. And
Yeah.
so we did turn into a crazy dysfunctional family.
Yeah.
Not just in this room, not just the people that worked for him or dealt with him in the past, but literally every single person that has ever turned the dial to Jay Thomas, you are part of this insane, ridiculous family. So-
Sure. There's people in my life now that are only in it because of that show. That
Yeah.
we met through that show. And now, you know, we're friends and I'm scared of them. And so I stay their friends.
As you should
So they
be.
don't kill me one night.
I do want to let the listeners know we want to get to all your calls once we see them.
Yeah.
We'll definitely do that. We're sorry, and thanks a lot, Jay. So just FYI.
And what
that's
is the
happening
number
right now.
that they cannot get picked up on right now?
J Greats 547-3287.
There you go.
And whenever we get phones, we promise you'll be the first ones that.
I remember one of my first discussions with Mr. J. Thomas about starting to work with him in the haha seat, which was he sat me down, he looked me right in the eyes, and he goes, "I don't want you making cunt jokes." And I go, okay. And he goes, "I want you making jokes that make people think of the word cunt." And I thought, wow, that's a pretty fascinating take on things, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't really understand it at first, but I'm like, okay, he wants me to say everything but the word? All right. But that was his thing. he was a humorous guy, but he wasn't about clubbing people over the head with
Right.
it.
You know what's so funny about that statement, Julie, is that whenever he introduces me to somebody, so go ahead, tell him what your favorite word is. Go ahead, tell him. I mean,
Right.
every single time he did it to me with his wife.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Go ahead, tell her. Tell her what your favorite word is.
He also, I don't know about you, but Christina and Steve's and Ira, but for me, he always would call me. He always picked the perfect time to call me off hours, off duty.
Yes.
And by perfect time, I meant I was fully buzzed.
Yes.
And I was feeling no pain. And I'd pick up the phone. I go, hello. And he wouldn't even say hi. He'd
Right
just
into
go,
the rant.
He'd just go, so listen to this.
Yep.
You got to hear this.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories of all time is when he called me up and he goes, do you know this guy, David Gilmour? And I say, sure, I know David Gilmour. Anybody who's a music fan, anybody who listens to Pink Floyd knows who David Gilmour is. So I'm sitting on the couch. It's late. I'm 3 sheets to the wind. And he starts talking to me about this guy, David Gilmour, who he's having on the show the following day, who took his son out of school for a year to let him stay home and watch TV for a year. That's the guest Jay has on, and the guest's name is David Gilmour. Then Jay proceeds to tell me that he got a call at around 5 a.m. from a very high person here in the company, very high up, and the person says the following: Jay, you're going to have David Gilmour on your show today? And he says, yeah. Because, Jay, listen to me. Be very nice to this guy. Treat him with kid gloves. And Jay's sitting here going, boy, the guy who took his kid out of school for a year, why is this executive calling me and telling me to be nice to him? And then the executive goes, we're thinking about giving him his own channel here. And Jay's going, boy, what the fuck this guy do? You know? Took his kid out of school for a year. I don't understand. And so finally, Jay at one point just goes, the guy who took his kid out of school for a year, we're giving him his own channel? And he said there was about a 5-second silent pause on the phone, and the executive goes, I'm going to call you right back. And never called him back. And that's one of my favorite stories ever
that's
of all
funny.
time. Because Jay didn't know music. He didn't know people's names. You know what I mean? Band, musicians and shit. So it was all over his head as well. I mentioned that we are going to be talking to old and new cast of the show, the Jay Thomas Show. And we have here a visitor. I've known this guy since I got out to New York because we got a place together. He was my roomie for a couple years, at least a year, and was Jay's right-hand man for many years. Also worked with Scott Farrell. He was known as Sweet Lou. Ladies and gentlemen, Lou Pellegrino.
Lou.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Booba.
Paved
Listen,
the way.
Well, let me explain one thing first because I'm going to turn into Jay here.
Yeah.
I was the reason you got on this show.
That's true. That's true. Lou was the one who recommended me.
I saw you do comedy once,
Yeah.
and I believe the old bit was, it has to do with having sex with an African American woman and having a receipt and being like, yeah, well, here's the receipt. Do you want that? And
well,
that's
they
old.
were very, they're very confident in bed and they know what they want.
That's
They're
right.
Like,
But-
this is yours. And I would go, do I need a receipt? Because
Right.
juice. But yeah, that was a
So-
bit. And you mentioned it to Jay, and Jay actually saw me do a guest spot one night at Caroline's and asked me if I would come in for one show.
Sure.
And then boom, magic was
Exactly.
made.
It was great. It was a lot of fun. I heard the news because of your Instagram account.
Yeah.
I had no idea Jay was sick. I knew
Yeah.
there was something, and then it was gone, and I
Right.
didn't know that, it returned. And when the whole thing happened, I'm sitting there, and I'm sad.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking, Jay wouldn't want me to be sad, so I'm trying to laugh, but I'm all upset. But what I kept doing, and I don't know if anybody else in the room did this, I kept going on Twitter just to see if someone more famous died.
Right. I was just telling her
In
how,
true Jay fashion.
In true
I was
Jay
just
fashion,
saying
yeah.
how happy Jay must have been knowing that he got the day all to himself.
Yep.
Nobody trumped
Well,
him, death,
Even-
celebrity death-wise.
the
Unless
hurricane held off a couple of
Right.
hours
Yeah.
for him.
And the funny thing is, I kept sitting there looking, going, please nobody else die. Please nobody famous die. Please nobody famous die. Because Jay, one of Jay's running jokes always was, whenever I get on an airplane and I'm in first class, I make sure to see if there's a more famous person with me.
Right.
Yep.
Because it would always be LL Cool J dies in plane crash, 247 other victims claimed. And Jay's like, I don't want to be one of those 247. I want to So Jay would be like, all right, if the plane goes down, I'm good.
No, he used to tell me, he goes, no, in my luck, I dropped dead, and same day Emmanuel Lewis drops dead.
Right, that's
he
what I
goes,
was
you know,
thinking.
everybody fucking loved Webster. I'm getting the back page of the classifieds if that happens.
Second page of the Daily News.
Yeah.
And, you watch the Letterman skits over and over again, and I was there luckily enough, there for 2 of them.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun, but I mean,
what does that say about Jay, that a guy like David Letterman, a giant among men, puts it a staple in his show that every year Jay Thomas comes and tells that story and throws a football, and that was essentially Jay coming on the show that very first time, telling that story, and then stepping up to the plate and throwing that football. All those things. Nobody asked Jay to do that shit.
Right.
Jay did it.
Well, did he ever tell you the story? I guess Dave Letterman says during the interview, come back out and throw the footballs. We're going to have Vinny Testaverde here. And Biff, the stage manager, would not let him. So Jay had to shuck and
dodge him,
jive and jump
juke
around.
move.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he got out there and knocked it off.
So he
before Vinny
played running
Testaverde
back
did.
and quarterback on that episode.
All right, so listen, we melted the phone lines because there are so many, but they are back. So let's take a
good.
call, definitely.
All right.
Huh?
I don't see any, so you run the phones, Christine.
All right, let's go to Patrick in Washington. Hey, Patrick.
Hey, Christina.
Hey, Patrick. You got a Jay story for us?
Yeah. I was saying I listened to Jay when I was a kid with my parents, and as I got older, I've always listened to him. And once I was starting able, get my own Sirius XM, I've listened to you guys on Sirius and whatnot. It's just Jay's been a part of my daily routine for as long as I can remember. And the other day when I jumped on the app and I seen there was a fresh show, and I was like, all right. And then I seen In Memory Of, and I just about fell over because it just totally shocked me, and I can't believe it.
Yeah, still trying to get used to it. It's a miracle that when I walked in this morning, I was okay. I was had my wits about me, and one coworker was in the elevator with me, and he was like, "Hey, I'm sorry for your loss," and I broke down in.
Yeah, I tried to come
Tears.
Friday last week, Thursday, and I tried to come in Friday, and I realized that
It's not
that
happening.
I was like a widow up here, and every single person was coming, and I'm like, yeah, I'm out of
Everybody
here.
looks at you with that head tilt right now, and everybody feels really bad, and you just keep thinking in your head. Jay would be like, "These fucking assholes," like the way he would say it, emphasize the assholes, and so you just got to keep thinking about all the good stuff, and
Get rid of him.
I'm with you, Ira. See you, Patrick.
Oh, it feels good. Jay was right about that.
Yeah, take no offense today, people. This is how every call is going to end.
Oh, yeah.
No
What
matter
should
what
we
you
do,
have to
you
say.
guys? I mean, Jesse from San Diego's on the line.
Yeah, let's
give him.
Let's let Jesse talk.
Give him his moment.
I mean, this would not happen if Jay was here. So let's let Jesse.
He even
Well, he wouldn't
called
be
in.
Jesse. He'd be
yeah,
Tim
he
from Oregon.
Called in
Yeah.
as his own name. So, hey, Jesse.
For those of
Hey.
you listening, let me just set it up. So Jesse is a hardcore Stern fan and came over to the Jay Thomas show listening on Fridays, and then became a Jay Thomas fan. And really, you used to push Jay's buttons, but you did it all out of love. I know you were a fan of the show and you listened every day. And but you were a guy that really tweaked
Oh,
Jay
man.
to the point where there was an edict where Jay did not want Jesse on the phones ever.
Right, I had to literally mask his name as somebody else every
Right.
single. We had a run. At first, I used to get mad at Jesse because he would call and give me a different name.
Right.
Now, you can fool the main host, but don't you dare try to come past me
Yeah.
with some kind of fake shit. Okay. So I set him straight, and then we worked as a team together to get
Because a lot
him
of
on
people
the air.
don't realize this. We were on a mission to tweak Jay as
Yes.
well.
Oh.
So
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah.
That went back way
Yeah,
way
yeah.
back. Oh, yeah.
It was
Sure.
always a mentality of don't make me come back there. You know what I mean?
He definitely had that dad. I'll turn this show around.
Turn this motherfucker
Yeah.
around.
We'll go right back home. Go ahead, Jesse.
All right. Well, the brilliance of Jay, when he cussed me out that one day, 4.5 years ago, I mean, it turned me into a monster of a fan. it was the greatest moment of my life.
That's true. That was a
And-
legendary
and-
rant.
He had a
Jay did.
T-shirt made and
Yeah,
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was brilliant. And the funny thing was, he told me never to call back again, and I ended up talking to him probably over 300 times since that time.
And he loved
And I
every
ne-
one of Jesse's stories.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Yeah.
When he didn't know it was me.
Right.
Right.
Right. No, you
You know,
hooked him every
and-
time.
Yeah, and that was so beautiful. That was the best thing about him was I never tried to change my voice with him. I always tried to hide my voice with Christina because she knew who I was.
So I'm fucking mad at you, Jesse.
But-
Oh my God.
Well,
I would
it was
hover
never
over
to-
the block. Should I block him? Should I block him? That'll really tweak him. Should I block him?
when I was really disguising my voice because I didn't want to piss you off.
Yeah, I
I
know.
was trying to,
Just trying to work
but
with you, Lee.
but I met Jay in person the one time, and he was such a nice guy, and I knew he had to keep the bit going. He can never be nice to Jesse from San Diego, but I was totally okay with that, and I loved mixing it up with the guy. He was absolutely brilliant, and
And
yeah,
you came up
no
with a
one
great
can touch you.
you came up with a great catchphrase for Jay that I feel still has a chance to take off.
Yeah, for sure.
Ira, do you remember?
I think-
Ira, do you remember what the catchphrase was?
Get him off!
No, not Jay's catchphrase.
Get him off is the catchphrase at the Mustang Ranch. That's the first genuine laugh in fucking 10 years. I've said it. Anything you want to say to
I'm
Jesse?
with the Thomas.
Get rid of him!
All right. Bye, Jesse.
Tell him with the Thomas.
Speaking of people who would change their voice or hide their real name, when the show first started, we had a caller, a female caller, and I don't care. Her name is Patty.
Okay.
Oh,
I
I
don't-
know who Patty is. I've
Okay.
heard of this story before.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Well, Patty went to her high school reunion, and unfortunately, allegedly, she did a little schmoozing with a former boyfriend in high school.
Okay.
Leaves her jacket at his house.
Okay.
So she calls the show and talks to Jay, but she calls up as Kathy.
Okay.
And so Jay's sitting there listening to the story, and of course Jay, as only Jay can do, he's winking at me, and I go, "You know who the?" And he goes, "I don't know. This sounds an awful lot like Patty." Fuck you, Jay Thomas! And she hung the phone up on him. Oh, God.
One of the worst things you could ever do around Jay
Oh.
is look at him right before the show starts and go, "Don't bring this up on the air." But and then literally we're on the air. The on the air light goes on. He's like, "So Shirley was just telling me,"
Oh, yeah.
and you're toast.
You know, they told me not to say anything,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
throw
the
it
rebel.
right under the bus.
Did he still do the Jay Thomas pullback? Do you know what the Jay Thomas
Oh,
pullback
yeah.
is?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, tell
That-
people who've never heard.
I mean, obviously, it doesn't do much being on the radio, but when Jay would say a joke, so the punchline of the joke is to get to the other side. Okay?
Right,
We're going
right.
to do the why did the chicken
Right.
cross the road? So he would go, and you know, why did the chicken cross the road? To get to the other side.
and
Yep.
then he would
And
step
he would
away.
step away from the mic
Yeah.
and look at everybody in the
it's
room.
like almost like a ha.
Right, exactly.
He also does a thing. He did a thing now where, right, Steve? Huh?
He would throw out those
Like,
little
he would
sounds.
love the little sounds. Any kind of
Well,
emphasis.
Without
on-
going into
on
too
his-
much detail, I want to tell a story about the heart that Jay Thomas had, and I want to talk about him going to bat for you.
Oh,
And
big
I don't want to
time.
give too much detail into the story, but basically, Lou.
Well, no,
was-
you have to give too much detail because in typical Jay Thomas fashion, I heard 3 Days clip, 3 Days who was a huge Stern
Yeah,
fan.
yeah.
So I'm listening to the clip and I'm going, all right, that's part of the story because you were trying to get the story out the right way, and I could see Jay going, "Surely, shut up,
Yeah, yeah,
shut
yeah.
up. You're going to say it this way. This is how it's going to be." So go ahead.
So Lou was working at night here one night, and
On the Wise Guy Show.
On the Wise Guy Show, and he on his
Big
way
pussy.
on his way out the door, Lou forgot to switch the lobby speakers off the Wise Guys channel, and which was
they were on Raw Dog.
right, correct. So
Raw Dog Comedy.
long story short, the next morning, a very important person was in the restroom using the restroom, and they hear Raw Dog pumping through the speakers, and it's uncensored.
Yep.
But it's, in the lobby, in the bathroom, and this person was not happy. And when,
Well. All he said was, "I don't think it's a good idea that we have Raw Dog on." That was the story.
so then
way
the
it was
other
said to me.
people jump to the next conclusion, which is we have to
Absolutely.
kill the person. Get rid of him. Right.
String him up!
Exactly.
Tar and feather!
So we were living together at the time. We had a cat. Hi. And I get the word from Lou that he's been fired.
We just got finished interviewing Kato Kalin.
Yeah. And he's like, they
Yeah.
fired me. And I'm like, what? And he tells me I'm like, really? They fired you? Lo and behold, who gives a call to the very high up here? None other than Jay Thomas. Says, hey, you guys made a mistake. You're overreacting. This guy's great. I want him back. He's part of my show. Within 8 hours, back on the job.
It was unbelievable because I remember it's a little bit different than that. It wasn't even 8 hours because Jay was coming to New York.
Right.
So Jay
Even
was
better,
Jay,
FaceTime.
exactly. So Jay was coming from Santa Barbara to here. He calls me up. He says, and I still can hear his voice on my voicemail message because I went into hiding. I'm like, I was pissed. I was angry. I was this, I was that. He leaves a message. He's like, Lou, don't worry about a thing. The cavalry's coming. And I'll never forget him saying, he goes, the cavalry's coming.
Yeah.
He goes, I'll be in New York next week. I talked to my agent, DB. I talked to so-and-so, and this is going to be rectified.
And my point in all this is up here, there are so few people, and not just here, in this industry, in entertainment in general, that will stick their fucking neck out for another person. And maybe they do it if they're a peer, you know. But at the time, Lou was he was running the board.
Yeah.
Right.
But he saw Lou as a peer. And so he respected him and treated him as such.
Yeah, totally.
And that was Jay. Do we want to give out the number maybe?
Yeah,
and
let's
then
give
take
out
a
the
break,
number.
maybe?
I want to give out the number. I want to go to Tim in Harrisburg,
Okay.
and then we have a little, something that Tim
Okay.
put together. But if you want to give us a call, 844-J-GREATS. It's 844-547-3287. We're honoring the man whose name was never actually on the door, but he would say that all the time. Let's go to Tim in Harrisburg. Tim, Tim's a big fan of Jay. Tim dedicates a lot of his time to making jingles for the show. He dedicates a lot of his time to listening to Jay. Hey, Tim, thank you so much for calling.
Hey, Christina, how you doing?
Very, very good. Well, not really. I'm lying. I'm horrible, but I'm trying to keep
know.
it together.
Yeah, I know. Me too. It's been a tough weekend, but yeah, I really love Jay, and I love.
Get rid of him.
No, we're not getting rid of him. He's trigger happy, this one.
I love sending jingles into the show, and I would love when he would play them, but he would always cut them down. And
Yeah.
I knew it was always out of love because he could never let you get off with thinking you did something great, which is what my wife says I love so much about him is he would always cut me down.
It's
and
true.
my favorite Jay memory is actually not on his show, but on Christy and Meredith. When I called in, I was the only caller, and I got him to
Jay
flip
right
out.
now. By the way,
freewheeling.
Jay right now is going, did you have to mention the only caller, asshole? He's so mad. Go ahead.
And I was asking him a Star Wars question, and he said, I don't listen to Star Wars. He obviously didn't want me to ask the question, but started to ask it. And he nicely asked, can you get rid of this guy? And they didn't get rid of me, and I just kept on asking the question, and then he flipped out. And he's like, can you please hang up on this asshole? And then he was apologizing to them the whole rest of the show.
You tweaked
What
him
an
then he
good.
asshole. What an asshole.
And then he actually talked about me on Howard 101 that day. Surely you were there, but you probably don't remember. He was making fun of me about being a nerd and asking questions. And then I finally did get to call in and ask the question, but the whole joke was the answer was Don Cheadle, which was because he did that comedy that sketch on
Wah, wah, boo, hoo, cool kids.
All right, Ira. You're so
Jesus.
aggressive. Everybody deals with grief in different ways, you know? Wow, wow.
But so many good memories, and I really do love all you guys for all you do. So
Thank you so much, Tim. And we really love you for what
tough.
you've done for the show. We're going to play right now Tim's final jingle that he made in the wee hours of learning of the passing of Jay. And so we'll enjoy this, and then we'll come back. Give us a call, 844-J-GREATS, 547-3287.
And before we go, I just wanted to give a little tease for those of you old school listeners of Jay. We have a surprise guest here.
Let's go to Tim of Harrisburg, PA. Yes, Tim, go ahead.
Wanted to call you up on my ride home. Had find something stupid to say, hoping you'd get rid of me. But now you've gone your way, found your lifestyle tone. But I know you're riding the waves, 'cause you're the main host of the Jay Thomas Show. And Ira, the weatherman, Christina and Steve, Fridays of the Steve and Julie, Morgan, Mindy, middle-aged MC, knocking me off the tree, Lone Ranger story, Beavis, Buddy, JT, your wife Sally, losing your virginity to Gummy Mary. Thank you, Jay Thomas, and thank you, Jay Thomas, and tell Kevin Meaney I said hello. Thanks, Jay.
You know what? When you're re-recording, can you sound more masculine, more manly? That's a little too fruity.
When we return, we'll talk more on all things Jay as we celebrate the life of Jay Thomas.
And to be honest, we'll probably be sobbing through the ad break.
More memories of Jay Thomas coming up on SiriusXM Comedy Greats Channel 94. And now we salute the man who brought us so much joy, celebrating the life and legacy of the main host, Jay Thomas. Share your memories of Jay and make us all cry. But to be honest, we'd like a bloody good laugh too. Call 844-JAY-GREAT.
Hi. I shared more laughs with Jay. I had the best time with him in interviews, even worked with him as an actor. This is William Shatner, and I have the best memories of Jay, and I'm so sad to hear of his passing. We'll miss him. He was the best. Thank you very much.
Give it up for Billy Shatner.
Yay!
Wow.
Friend of the show.
Wow,
Yeah. What do you know about William Shatner?
Nothing.
All right. Well, thank you, William Shatner, for leaving us that voicemail. That was very
Appreciate
awesome.
it very much.
I mentioned before we went out, and great little thing. Who's it, Tim? Out in Harrisburg?
Tim,
yeah?
Tim in Harrisburg. Big fan of
Great
Jason.
job, Tim. That was awesome. Not easy to write any song with two different guys named Steve in it.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
And
you
he's
made
a
it
master
work.
of it.
You made it work. I want to mention that this guy sitting to my right was was the first board op. It's like the drummer's chair in Spinal Tap, except nobody spontaneously combusted. Jay just blew them all up. But this guy was the guy I started with on Jay's show on Fridays. Was Garrett. Garrett Andrix is here.
What's up, everyone?
What's up, flat lever? It's okay, though, because look, the beauty of Steve Gonzalez.
Yeah. Garrett, you worked with Jay for many, many years, man. A lot of good times, a lot of trips over this Russian bar we used to take with Jay. And
did you tell where he thought detectives were following him?
Oh,
yes,
that was the best.
Well, there was one time we got stoned on the street, and he pretended to be a cop.
We were all cops, remember?
Right.
We were all undercover.
And he went to go bust other people getting high on the street
And then
while
we were
he was
take,
high.
We were going to take their pot.
Yeah,
right.
he was going to take their pot.
Master plan.
Hanging out and getting stoned with Jay is probably the most fun I've ever had.
Yeah.
That game show idea.
Oh my God, Garrett!
You got to pay to play.
We got so high. We came
got
up,
Ira contact.
we got
so
Ira
high.
contact. That's how high we got. And I remember I recorded Ira Stone, and we played about 4 seconds of it on the show, and Jay goes, "Don't ever play that again." Never play that again. That is just awful. I can't believe we did that. But we came up with this dumb game show, which at the time was the most brilliant thing.
It was genius.
These networks would be fools not to take it. And it all had to do with you paying money as a contestant.
I never fully understood it.
No.
He explained it to me 7 times probably throughout the years.
Remember too, you would flip a coin and he would step on the coin.
That's how it all
and-
starts. It starts with a coin toss, and his foot goes over the coin, and he goes heads or tails, and you go heads, and then he goes, if you give me $50, it doesn't matter what it is, we'll move on to the next prize. And it made no sense.
And then he's like, and then Christina's gonna come out with a bunch of suitcases.
Yeah.
But she's only gonna have one suitcase, and every time she opens it up, it'll be another suitcase.
I guess what I'm trying to say is Jay always had good weed on him.
Yeah.
And he was a good
Seriously.
time, and he always liked to hang out and tell stories and laugh and experience life. Right,
That was
Garrett?
the thing. There wasn't a bad time with him.
Right.
He never was cranky or like took it out on you. Or
He always wanted to go do something somewhere. Go
shit was
here, go
happening
there.
in his
Everything
life
is
here,
fabulous.
and it was always like
Yeah.
whatever. Let's just have fun.
Although that one time that guy kept calling him Tony Danza at the bar. That pissed him off a little bit. But
I remember we were in a hotel room once, and he was trying so hard to make you look presentable, Shuli. It's
Yes.
all he wanted to do was dress you. It
Yes.
was like a fashion show. He had Shuli in all of his clothes that were in his closet.
I still have it. I still have a jacket he gave me.
It's just like, turn around. Let me see. You see how the pants have to come over the shoe? Like it was everything. He was really trying to get.
It's fine. I gotta, and I'm not ready to share it yet. But one day, I gotta share with you guys one of the last conversations I had with him, because it is Jay to a T. Like you could for the weight of the situation and as heavy as the moment was. The shit that he said to me was so unbelievable, and it's like I'm not ready to share it yet, but when I do, it
What a
might be
tease
the
you
greatest
are.
story ever, because I don't know of anybody who's had a discussion with somebody towards the end that went this way, and we didn't end on bad terms or anything. It ended on good terms. It was just a surreal thing, and dressing. Was one of the things that was brought up. I'll put it that way. So, but that was Jake. He was gonna tell you how he felt about anything and everything, and he didn't give a shit.
Yeah, and that's what you got to love about him.
Yeah.
Madison, who
Yes.
we all know and love so much. She
Madison
was on the
did
show,
with us for a while.
Look at Garrett's face. He's like,
Is she a
"Wait,
traitor?
what do you mean? No, of course not. She had a baby. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's fine.
She had life come out of her
Life
vagina.
came out of her vagina, Garrett.
Nothing
you
came out of
were
your
just
vagina.
a selfish prick. No, I'm just kidding.
You took your vagina and left us.
At least it wasn't on your birthday. Okay.
It was exactly on my birthday. On my 35th birthday.
Oh boy.
10 years ago?
I hate you. God, I hate you. Times they never. I will say this. One of my favorite memories of the Jay Thomas Show is the torture that Garrett and I used to put each other through on a regular. We had our own show happening in the studio, as many of us do. But Garrett and I had this like online war where we would hope to God that you would leave your shit open so that you can get it in there and tell the entire world that like he chews on his toenails or something.
Well, let's
that,
talk about torturing Jay real quick, because there was a running bit for I think it started when Al was board upping and continued when Griffiths took over, but that is the drop of Ira saying Jay. You remember that?
Yep.
So
Yep,
we had a drop of Ira saying Jay, and it started with Ragone, started with Al Ragone, and then we had Griffiths start to play it, where it would it would just Jay would be in the middle of talking, and he would and he would start yelling at Ira, right, Griff?
Yeah, we haven't done it for a while, but we definitely.
And he never knew.
Never
knew that it was a
Never.
drop. Ever. We never revealed it to him. We
Well,
never shared
like
it.
he
How
would
many
say to
times
me,
did we drop you?
I was just gonna say the
Yeah.
only time he would know it was a drop was when it was himself.
Right.
Right.
It's true. But we
Right.
did the same thing. Shuli would have to leave early for
an
a
interview.
gig or whatever.
Yeah.
And
I would record.
That was one of my most favorite
random,
things.
random questions.
It started with Garrett the very first
So how do
time.
you really feel about the Jews?
Yeah.
the best one.
I started. I record.
And Jay wouldn't know it was a drop.
I would record 20 tracks on a CD of everything from me going, whoa, to me going, No, I don't agree with that.
We
And then
did
I
an
wouldn't follow up with
entire
anything.
interview one day.
Yeah.
Where you were full on co-hosting and you weren't even in
How do
the
your
room.
parents feel about you doing this?
Yeah. And I remember one of my favorite ones was one time I recorded me going, "Oh, Jay, you remember that story? You know what? I'll tell it later. I'll tell it later."
And you'd be like, no, go ahead.
Oh my goodness. Let's take a call. Let's go to let me see here. Let's go to Paul in where's that? PA. Paul in PA. Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Oh, your phone sounds.
Clear your throat.
That's
What
Ira
should he
telling
take,
you.
Ira? What pill should he take?
Take any kind of pills anyone.
You
Take
dummy.
Some tea with
Claritin.
Clarinex, whatever.
We got to put Paul on hold because he sounds like he's swimming and I can't stand it.
Christina, can I say something?
You can say whatever you want.
When I
Ira.
met Jay,
All right, time's up, Ira. No, go ahead.
I met Jay. I was an average listener
That's right.
on a radio station. I don't want to mention the name of it.
You can.
The Jammin' 105.1 FM.
No.
And I won tickets to the Rhythm Review at the Roseland.
Cool.
Yeah.
What happened
So,
next?
I got the tickets from them, and I went into the studio at Jammin' 105, and he said to me, "Ira, since you came here, can I come up to Jacoby Hospital?" I said, "Yes, you could.
So-
Anytime you feel like."
So you visited him. He wanted to visit you,
That's right.
and you guys became friends from that point on.
That is right.
And he would bring you on his show to demonstrate his average everyday
That
listening.
is
And
right.
also to tell the weather.
Yes.
It's one of the most often asked questions I get is, how did the Ira thing start?
Yeah.
Well, I had forecasted the weather forecast. It was going to snow the end of March, the first week in April. And what did it do?
What did it do?
It snowed the end of March.
So he knew you were for real.
That is right.
And
You guys play the stormy weather song for him throughout his tenure? Because that
Don't
was the
know
original
why.
stuff. See?
There's no sun up in the sky. Stormy weather.
That was Ira's music.
I
That was
remember.
his theme
That's
song.
right.
I remember. Yeah. Well, all right.
That's it. Okay. Awkward moments
Yeah.
with Ira the Weatherman.
Get rid of it.
All right, we're getting rid of you.
Let me go. I really just real quick want to read this because Madison could not be with us today. She's flying on a plane. She was on.
Oh, that's her
vacation.
lame excuse. Flight.
Yes. And she sent a little note. Well, it's really long. Not that long. It's a little dramatic, but she says, "Dear Jay, thanks for ruining my vacation to your state, California. Blah, blah, blah. Live like you're on vacation. And on top of that, I got my period upon hearing the news of your demise. I absolutely loved you, Jay. I was going through a terrible time when Shuli offered me this haha seat spot 2 days a week. I think it was 2008. Being on your show awakened my sexuality. Just kidding. I had gone through a monster breakup and all I did was cry. When I joined your show, I laughed and cackled the entire 3 hours we were live, and I got to meet Sean Kelly and Garrett Andritz. How else would I have met Marilu Henner? There are many incredible and outrageous memories. You let me air out a recording of my neighbors having loud and disgusting sex on your show.
I remember that recording.
You, you forced me to give you the Heimlich. You told me that I wasn't hot, just moderately attractive. You later emailed me an apology. I think Sally made you do it. When I visited you in Santa Barbara, you took the wheel of my rental car and sped through town, almost mowing down a couple of assholes. I loved going to Letterman with you. I was there when one of your hooligan sons threw a shoe at Dave. And I was there when you and JT were on Kathy Lee and Hoda. I lent JT my bra for that appearance, and Kathy Lee was not amused. At my wedding, you peeled off a bunch of $20 bills and threw them at me. That was my gift. You were a big hit that night. You may have even broken up a marriage. Thanks to my kid, I had to stop doing your show, or maybe you fired me. Who the fuck knows? All I know is I am so honored to have known you. You gave me so many unbelievable memories. I'll miss you fiercely. I love you, Jay Thomas. Oh, yeah, thanks for putting my dad on the radio to talk about the skin cancer on his penis. He really appreciated it. Love always, Madison. So thank you very much, Madison,
we love you,
for sharing
Madison.
some memories. She was really upset that she couldn't join us on the show today.
Yeah, she's always upset.
What else is there, right? All right, I guess we'll take one more call, and then we'll go away, and then we'll come back, and we'll do all that, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Seatbelt. Hey, Seatbelt.
Seatbelt? Yeah,
Hello.
buddy.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Hey, Christina, are you there?
I'm here. Hello.
Hey, this has been a shock to me because I didn't know anything was going on. And Thursday, I got the replay of that time where Jade was saying, "Seatbelt, come in, seatbelt," and he was trying to he was trying to figure out that song, the Shabop song.
Oh yeah,
And
I remember this.
And I come back and told him it was "Hello Stranger" by Barbara Lewis, and he said, "Yeah, that's it. I love you, man." and I've got it on my voice recorder and everything, because
cool.
I've got his voice right on hand, and I got yours, and Julie, you're an asshole. But I still love you.
Thank you, buddy. I love you too, man. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much, Seatbelt.
I'm going to go ahead and let y'all go. Love y'all.
Love you too.
Love you.
All right. Well, should we go to one more? But he wanted to be getting rid of.
I know. I forgot.
Get rid of him.
All right, let's go to JC in Cincinnati. Hey, JC.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Good, buddy. How are you?
As best as can be.
Not really great, but Christina, one quick thing.
Yeah.
Pussy, 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 pussy.
It gets me every time.
I'll be honest. I've been kind of Googling, looking for tributes and stuff to him. And every time I find something, I'm trying to take comfort in it, and I'm reading it, and I'm watching it. And every single time I start crying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was powerful. You had to get his sarcasm, and you felt so included in such a rarefied era when you totally got. I always was amazed by the people that call in and go, "You're such an asshole," or you need to be nicer to people. I'm like, do you not understand what he is doing? This is vaudeville. This is comedy. There's nothing really malicious behind anything he's doing. He's making us laugh. And once you got that, all of a sudden it was always the most hilarious thing you ever heard ever in your life, and you had to listen all the time.
Couldn't have said it better.
I remember real quick just the day it hit me about what a pro Jay was. We were doing the afternoon show, and his ISDN dropped out. I think that you were there that day. And you go, "You want us to put on a best of?" And he goes, "No, I'm going to call in from my cell phone." And I go, "Boy, this is going to sound like shit." And he called in from his cell phone. And not only did he do the 2.5 hours of the 3-hour show via cell phone, he interviewed the guests that he had lined up. At the same time, he picked up his dry cleaning.
Yeah, I was going to say, didn't he go through a drive-through?
He picked up and gave a guy a ride who had a flat tire to the garage.
Yeah, he ran into some weird guy.
He ran into some weird dude,
went to the firehouse, I think.
And that's when I'm like, so here's what a pro does. He takes a situation where everything says this is not going to work out and makes it work, finds a way, and that was Jay.
He's the show must go on guy. I mean,
Yeah.
if anything, you can tell because none of you guys knew he had cancer. So.
No, seriously.
I mean,
that is an
the
old
show
school
must go
thing,
on.
man.
Yep.
He wasn't looking for attention. He wasn't looking for praise.
He
and
didn't want you to be nice
GoFundMes.
to him at all. He wanted
No.
he wanted you to shit all over him so he could shit on you right back.
Yeah. So fuck you for listening.
He hates this show so much. He must really hate this.
All right, 844-547-3287, 844 Greats. Give us a call to tell us your favorite memories of Jay. We'll be back.
Now, back to more memories of Jay from some of the guys who knew him best. Christina, Steve, and Shuli, as we celebrate the life of Jay Thomas on Sirius XM Comedy Greats 94.
Yeah.
My theme song.
This one's going out to Christina Palumbo. Welcome back to the tribute show to Jay Thomas. Shuli here with you, along with Christina Palumbo, Steve Gonzalez, Steve Griffiths, Lou Pellegrino, Garrett Andritz. My daughter's here somewhere, Ira.
Yes.
I mean, holy shit. Full house, man.
Seriously.
We wouldn't want it any other way. We're here remembering the good times, honoring the great man that is Jay Thomas, and a lot of well wishes and just good thoughts and energy going to his family. They're such great people, and we've not only have we known Jay, we've known them all these years as well. And Jay was an open book, so we got to meet all of them. We knew way too much about all of them. They knew way too much about us. But that's why we were a big dysfunctional family.
Yeah,
Especially Max.
Especially
We love that, Max.
I love Max.
I texted JT the other day, and JT with the typical Jay answer. I said, "Hey man, deepest condolences. I love Jay like a father. Condolences to you, Sally, and the kid." And he goes, "Yeah, I love Jay like a father too. The father who gave me away."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "That's so." I go, "You are his son."
See, and he is. He is.
100%.
What a fucking crazy story that was. But Christina, go ahead. I'm gonna let you take the reins here.
No,
we got some more calls.
Let's go to the callers because
Sure.
they, they loved him just as much as we did. Max in Boston. Hey, Max.
Yes.
How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good. You're on
we're
the
doing
air,
it.
buddy. What would you like to say?
I just wanted to say that what I found fascinating is the way Jay always treated the listeners. And I felt that it was always with genuine interest that he took the calls. And it didn't matter if it was celebrities or anybody famous. He talked to regular people, and he had the patience to be interested in what they're saying. And you could tell that. When asked how you doing, that good. The force and the spirit with which he said that single word tells a lot about how he was and how he felt about life. And I just always found it pretty amazing.
Wait to make it about you.
It's totally uncalled for,
Yeah.
but a little truth. No, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the thing about Jay that we love so much is that the celebrity interviews, they were cool, whatever. But the best interviews that Jay did, in my opinion at least, were the wacky and the weird and the, Shuli, you were talking about before your favorite interview from like Holiday Road where it was like with the toothpick.
Oh, the guy who made a Stagecoach replica in his garage out of toothpicks. Okay, replica of a Stagecoach,
Life size.
life size,
Yeah.
right? And my only question, excuse me, I went all Ira on you guys. My only question,
Claritin!
my only question was, are you married? Because the amount of time he spent making this, that was the first thing that popped in my head is how do you convince any wife, like, going in the garage, and you just have fucking 2 armfuls of toothpicks, So I go, are you married? And he says, yes. And Jay, the brilliant man that he is, goes, what did she say when you showed it to her? He goes, well, I brought her in the garage, and I turned on the light, and she said, it's crooked. And we fucking laughed for about 5 minutes straight. We couldn't talk. It was the fun, and it was just such a marriage answer. It's like, I know you've put in 1.5 years of this. The second I'm looking at it, I'm going to pick out its flaw. I don't care how much time, sweat, blood you put into this. You know how many times this guy had to prick his fingers with those fucking toothpicks? And she walks in, and within half a second goes, it's crooked. And it's just like, go for... So, I mean, that was one of the woman who had the pickle farm, and she would grow her pickles. She had Kool-Aid flavored pickles, right, Christina?
Yeah, I don't know if I remember. I don't think I was there for this
She
one.
had a whole pickle farm, and she would, somehow get them to grow it with Kool-Aid flavors involved. And Jay would just find these people.
Oh, yeah.
Jay, Art, all those guys that they knew. And Jay was great about being the good cop with those people. Like, he was never an ass. He would never get on the phone and go, why the fuck are you making a stagecoach out of toothpicks? You know, if anything, he let me be a dick, but he always bought into it 100%.
He did, but there were times where you knew just his ire was starting to build, because I can remember when he interviewed the people from the Westboro Baptist Church, and he had Reverend Fred Phelps on, and the granddaughter ran for some political office, and she finished in third, and she kept saying, I finished in third place. I finally told Jay in his headphones, I'm like, Jay, there were only 3 people running. And he was like, wait a minute, you keep making a big deal about finishing third. There were only, and then that's when he really started, because they started saying some inappropriate stuff, and for me to say that it was inappropriate, it was really bad. And he just went off, and that was when you could tell, like, all right, Jay had a heart and had a brain, and he could go along with the joke for as long as he wanted to. And then when he turned it real, that was it.
Well, he was a fearless dude. He saw himself, you know, as this kick-ass machine. He was ready to go.
Asking Dakota Fanning, how much money does she make? And do her parents glom off of her when she was 11 years old? Yeah. I'll never forget that interview.
That was good.
And a lot of people know that Jay broadcasted from, you know, California or New Orleans, and we were here in New York, but a lot of people also didn't know that because it was pretty seamless and we all sounded like we were in the same room. So to do radio with Jay on a regular basis was great and awesome, and we knew each other's cues and we didn't even have to look at each other.
Right.
But to watch Jay do radio when he would come to the studio, like I would forget to answer the phone because I would be mesmerized by his hands are moving all over the place. He will not sit down. He's got a pile and a half, remember, of all the newspapers, and he's ripping newspapers and throwing them at me. Like, here, I want this guest and this guest.
Yeah.
He was a machine, and it was seamless, and it was creative, and it was, you know, he would pull shit out of the air. I don't want to give away his secrets, but he would pull shit out of the air, and you would be like, huh, wait a second. What?
Yeah.
You know, it was unbelievable. To watch him do it, it was magic, just pure magic.
He could make it work with anybody. It didn't matter whether he liked the person or he didn't, but there was some chemistry that was just apparent.
Get rid of him!
Rob, you overstayed your welcome, Pat.
Thank you, Max. Appreciate it.
Max, Pat.
Let's go to Garrett's boyfriend. I believe it's Garrett's boyfriend, Vince in California.
Ooh.
Is
The reason why I came in.
Is this the Vince from California?
Yes, it is. Hi, Christina.
Hi,
Oh my God!
Vince.
Listen to the life in his
Hi.
voice.
These two have a love affair that I could never compete with. I wanted Vince to like me more, and it just
I
wouldn't
love
happen.
Garrett. You know what? I text him. I called Jeff for a lot. I called Jeff from San Diego. We all chatted. I still have all my phone calls from when I called in back in the Garrett days. I mean, there's so much stuff. I mean, it was all my buddies from work know that I called the show, and they were all talking to me, you know, hey, man, I heard what happened, this and that. Just some of the great memories I have. Shuli, you were there with, it was Shuli, Ira, and Kevin Meaney. Remember he interviewed the guy that was the 80-year-old wing walker?
Oh, my God.
And then you guys had a bad connection, and you did the Three Stooges hello bit.
Yes.
And just the studio just went into flames. It was so...
It was. I mean, I'll be. Listen to this. I mean, I personally feel comfortable walking into a lot of radio shows. Howard's one that my balls go into my throat, and Jay and Kevin together was another one that for me was super intimidating.
The greatest.
Because A, they work so well off each other, and B, Kevin was just fucking unreal. And
then he interviewed the guy who invented the hummingbird mask and asked him if Fred Gwynn could wear it, and completely stopped the interview. Jay was so pissed. Excuse me for a minute. Kevin, that guy's been
It was unbelievable. Working with Kevin and Jay is some of the greatest moments in radio I've ever had.
100%.
Ever.
I loved it when Jay, when I would laugh at Shuli's jokes, Jay would get pissed. There was another one where Richard Bay, he interviewed Richard Bay, and I called in, and Richard Bay's like, oh, you're ahead of your time. And Richard goes, I got a lot ahead, and I just lost it. And Shuli's like, you're killing on line 6.
I'll tell you one other thing we used to do. There would be times where Jay would have a movie or something, or a TV show he'd have to film, or there'd be a gig I'd have to get to. One of us would have to leave early. So we did this thing years ago, and we never gave it up. We never let the audience in on it until now. This is an exclusive.
Nope.
So we would
behind the curtain.
Yeah, I'd be like, listen, Jay, after this next break, I gotta hit the airport. And he's like, okay. why don't we get into a fight about something?
Yep.
And I go,
That was the best.
all right. And he's like, yeah, we'll get in a fight and you storm off. And I go, okay. And we did this bit like
Yep.
5 times to the point where, I mean, I had family that listened to the show text me going, boy, he's an asshole. How dare he say that about you? And I'd be on my way to the airport going, he's the greatest guy in the world. You kidding me? He's covering.
man.
But yeah, he was amazing. And then the bit got away from us because he used to hate when we did the bit that the first 5 minutes would all be people. If I left, they would all be people going, good, fuck Shuli,
Yep.
you don't need him. And then the next 5 minutes would be like, your show sucks without him. And he'd be like, oh, this bit's stupid.
just especially when the day would be going, and then all of a sudden it just turns into a Garrett bashing for 30 minutes. Hey, Garrett, say a word, and then they just make fun of Garrett. Surely Garrett's got a full mouth of water today.
Oh yeah, Garrett, a part of the show, was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, Jay, the great ones take people who aren't even interesting and make them interesting. Like all of us in this room. You know what I mean? So.
I mean, I've been listening to him since I was a little kid over at Power 106. I mean, Shuli, you grew up in Southern Cal. Listening to him too,
buddy,
so.
we're out of here. Ira made the call.
Garrett didn't even get to say goodbye.
No,
How about that?
Whatever. He can text Garrett, apparently, whenever he wants.
Sometimes my favorite guests were when the guests wouldn't show up, and then Shuli would disappear. And all of a sudden, a guest would call in with whatever topic it was. It would always just fall apart.
Always. Well, because this show, the only one who prepared for this show was Jay.
Yes.
Like nobody prepared on this end other than. Does this work?
You know what?
All right.
If you did prepare with
Actually,
Jay,
Christina, that's not fair. Christina prepared.
Steve, what?
We would spend all day preparing a show, and then the second the open started, you threw it all away
the whole
because
thing falls
everything
apart.
he asked you to poll, we're going to talk about this.
Yeah, let
We'd
me
go out the window and be
rephrase
like,
that.
oh, we have audio on this. Play it, Steve. I'm like, what the fuck? This is the first I'm hearing of it.
No. Let me rephrase that. Everybody except me prepared for this show.
I mean, I
And-
definitely made a prep. I don't think he read it ever. And then, if he did read it,
I didn't get any email.
you lie.
It's not on my phone. It's not on my computer or my other computer.
I used to get so mad at him. He'd be like, I don't understand. I got Steve's email. I got the other Steve's email.
I mean, and the beauty thing about doing those bits was knowing that there was a guy I could pitch it to that was willing to try it.
Right.
And like one of the things I loved about Carson is when the bits would bomb, he would goof on the bit while still doing the bit. He never gave up on it, but he would highlight the fact that this is a stinker. And Jay had that same thing too. He was just old school, man, and I just love that old school style of comedy.
For sure.
Yeah.
Did that Hillary Clinton pen?
Oh, it never died.
Never died.
It outlived
that
him.
still lives.
It outlived
Along
him.
with Ira.
I went to go visit. I was very fortunate to go out to visit him before he had passed, a couple of weeks before he had passed. And the first thing that I did when I got there was, where's the pen? I need to see the pen. And I hit it, and I took a picture of it. It's on my Instagram, and I couldn't believe it. And I actually bought him a Donald Trump pen to go along with the Hillary pen that he was very fond of.
He was doing that
also.
one a lot, too.
Yeah, he was very fond of that. Let's go to the phones. This says Valinda. For some reason, I feel like it's Belinda, though. I'm not sure. In Miami?
Yes.
Is it with a B or a V?
A B.
I knew it. Hey,
Phone
girl.
page.
This is Steve's girlfriend. Everybody loves the guys.
Everybody loves you.
Hi, Belinda.
I'm like so perplexed because I was I had no idea anything was wrong, and I don't like the fact that he kept us in the dark.
Well, you have to understand, Jay's an old school guy, and he did not want this show to be about cancer, and he did not want the show to be about you feeling bad for him for having cancer. He wanted everything to stay normal, and I'll tell you, throughout his entire ordeal, Steve and I and Garrett, we've all known for a long time because we had to know. I don't even think he wanted to tell us, and throughout the whole thing, he was always so worried about us and how we were feeling about it. He never ever put himself first, even, I'm telling you, worked up until the very end. You guys had no idea the amount of chemicals that were going through his body, and he was, I don't care,
Yeah.
I'm doing the show.
No, he was
You got to respect the fact that
and he was
didn't
also
want us
worried
to
about.
know.
He was worried about his voice changing.
Right. Well, that was always his thing, and that's he was a voice actor for so many years. His voice is his bread and butter, and so he was most worried about that kind of stuff. But I don't want anybody to be offended or upset that Jay decided to keep it secret. You know, it's all your own journey and how you want to handle it. And he wanted to continue working. You know, in this business, when everybody knows that something's wrong with you, then they don't call you for jobs. And you know, he was still getting called.
He doesn't owe anybody anything.
That's
like
true
his
also. That's
thing
true
is,
also.
you know, he didn't
It
even
was
have to
very
continue doing the
perplexing.
show if he didn't want to. You know, but he chose.
If I want you to know, I'll tell you.
Exactly.
He's never been gone more than a week, so that was
Well, that's
very-
not true. We were gone for many, many months the first time around. And he didn't want you guys to know any of that shit either.
Yeah, this has been a long battle.
I mean,
you know? And we thought he pulled out
and
of it.
we wanted to honor his wishes and keep it as secret as possible. And even if he was off and he wasn't doing something to treat himself for cancer, he just didn't. You know, you listen to the best of and like it just the same. So
That's true.
yeah,
Is Garrett still there?
he sure
Yeah.
is.
Hello.
Well,
Garrett's
I've been
a
listening to
traitor.
Cincinnati Days.
Sorry, Ira was
What
yelling.
did-
over
He's
you.
a traitor.
Go ahead, Belinda. What's your comment?
Well, I think Jay put my name on the list to not take my calls anymore. Well, I don't know if Garrett remembers. One day, somebody called and started asking him Seinfeld questions, and Jay got really ticked and said to hang up, and Garrett wouldn't hang up, and they kept asking him questions. Do you remember, Garrett?
I remember doing that many times, saying the button
Wait,
broke.
and then they hung up, and then I called, and I started asking you questions out of the blue from episodes I remember. And he goes,
Get
"She's
rid
got
of
that
her."
book right in front of her," and he kept saying, "Get, hang up," and you wouldn't hang up, and I kept asking you questions and asking you questions. And he got really pissed.
I
He
love
put my name
Piss
on the
Jay.
list and never took my calls again. And the most recent one was when the psychic called. And he said to hang up, and I said, "Shut up, Jay. Let her finish." And he wouldn't let her finish. But I'm really saddened. Really saddened. Is the show going to continue?
No, we're not going to answer any questions about that. Right now, we're just
Yeah.
honoring Jay and, just...
Wait to make it about you, pal.
Thank you so much for calling, Belinda. We really appreciate
Okay,
it.
thank
And
you.
all your stuff throughout
Bye.
the years. Thanks, bye. Oh, my goodness. Everybody with their questions. It's so hard. I want everybody to know that it's not, we're not, loving the fact that we had to keep secrets or anything either. We were all just respecting his wishes. So thank you for understanding.
Yeah,
that.
I thought it was weird that a lot of people on social media were like, "Did you know?" They were all asking, "Did you know?" And they weren't asking the important question. How big was his penis?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like something that we can all sit and talk about.
Right. I think it was more girth than...
It was an
length.
acorn. He said that plenty of times.
I know, an acorn. Listen. Somebody on Twitter wrote the line that I said a greater sentence has never been put together in the English language, which was what Gummy Mary, the woman he lost his virginity to in the swamps, said to him when he was finished, which, and I quote, "Throw the scumbag in the shit can," as the chicken's running across Jay's feet. Like that is...
Come on.
Yeah, you don't get better than that, dude. You don't get better than that.
Then if food was good, it was, I want to lick your asshole. Right? Some asshole. He had all these weird sayings.
I like to be able to see the other guys we be going in and out of your poopy hole.
Jeez.
One of my favorite things that Griffiths did recently was he clipped off a piece of him saying, "I did 9/11," and we just had this drop of Jay going, "I did 9/11," and we were just playing it like that
with guests and everything. They're like,
Try
"What?"
to work in with the serious guest.
Yeah.
I also love so much those interviews that go totally. I love them now. I won't lie. As a producer.
You're
Sitting
shitting
here,
bricks, yeah.
shitting absolute bricks, white knuckling the microphone, going, "Dear God, I'm gonna die right now."
You know, it was a great one and the fastest interview ever.
Huh.
The quickest interview. Kendra Wilkinson.
Oh my God.
the
So funny.
the girls next door at Playboy.
Yeah.
She literally, he goes, on the phone, there's Kendra Wilkinson from Playboy. And he goes, Kendra, what's it like climbing on top of that old hunk of shit that you have? What's it like putting that thing in you? And then you just hear, click. She didn't say a word. Not hello, nothing. He opened with that, and he goes, just like the pro that he is, he's here, click. That was Kendra Wilkinson, everybody. Playboy TV. And then he goes, did I say something wrong? What did I do?
Yeah, the worst part was having to explain to him afterwards what exactly it was that he did that offended somebody because he never understood it.
You tell him and you go, oh, come on.
Oh, he's just scared. He's just scared.
Yeah.
And going back to how we're on two different coasts most days, I would love the days that a guest would be, in studio with us before we started talking to that guest. We'd go to commercial break so the guests can hear everything that's happening. And you go, all right, so who's this fucking person? Why do we have them? It's like, well, first of all, they can hear you.
Second of all, you asked for them.
Poor Christina just...
how about when he would do this a lot towards the end. He would just decide that he didn't want that guest. It must have been a mistake. Either
I don't
2
remember
minutes,
asking you to book
either
him.
2 minutes before the show or during the show, and I would be in a complete, because I'm a people pleaser. I'd be like, no, they've been excited about it.
Yeah,
like
no.
I'm supposed to give a shit.
I think he did that once when they were on hold to you.
Yes.
I could have sworn he did that to you a couple times.
He's teased them and then just questioned the whole reason for them being.
Yeah.
Why are they here?
What did, yeah.
No, it was a
I asked
mistake.
you-
I must have read the different headline.
He goes, I told you to book this? And she
I wouldn't
goes,
do
yes,
that.
I'm not booking
Here's
guests on
the
my
email.
own.
Why would I
book that?
Yeah. I don't remember that. And then, no, I don't want to do it.
Crazy.
And then he would be like, well, I mean, if you want to do it, Christine, I guess we can
Yeah, it
squeeze
was
it
always
in.
up to me somehow, fucker. Let's go to Bern in California. Hey, Bern. Oh, turn it down.
Bern.
Bern,
Yeah,
you gotta
turn your radio
turn that
down.
shit down. Hi, Bern.
Hi.
Hi.
I just thought the bravest thing I ever heard on the radio was the dead air during the Kevin Bacon interview.
Oh, God. You ain't
I was
kidding,
new
bro.
to the show then.
Wow.
Oh my God! It was
Brutal.
I was laughing so hard.
That is one of the just cringiest. Like you slowly your neck goes down.
You
Your
like
head,
wring your
everything.
hands together, your fingers. Like
You
you're
don't
just
know
like,
what to do. You can't. You have your body has to react in some way listening to this, and it's like it's torture, but it's one of the greatest auditory experiences ever.
Yeah,
Ever.
definitely. That one will go down in history for sure.
Wasn't there some silence in the Eddie Izzard interview too?
Yeah, well, when he hung up.
That's right.
And the Christina Wong interview when she told him to suck his own dick.
Now that was
That was the
interesting.
best.
That was
the best.
interesting. Yeah.
He's like, who fucked you up? Just tell us. You can't just say that people didn't fuck you up. Somebody fucked you up.
Nobody's born this
Who
way.
raped you? It's
Right.
like, oh my God.
She goes, "What? You suck your own dick?"
It was amazing. Well, thank you so much, Bern, for bringing up the Kevin Bacon interview. That was definitely one of our favorites. Let's
Get
go to
rid of her!
Who? Let's go to Steve in PA.
No, it said her from the last.
We can't.
call.
There's so many Steves right now on the show. Hi, Steve.
We gotta have a Steve quote.
Hi, hey guys. I wanted to tell you after I heard about Jay's death, and I'm going to try to do this without breaking down. His words that he said, "Live life like you're on vacation." Well, I decided that that's what I'm going to do, and I thought I would be able to hold back without getting so emotional. But there's been too many people dying around me, and between cancer and everything else. So I am wrapping up some things, and I'm going to start going across the United States and stopping at different places and enjoying.
It's a holiday
life a little
road.
bit more. All because of Jim or all because of
You don't even know his
Jay
name.
saying, "Live life like you're on vacation."
Thank you,
So that's
Steve.
what I plan on doing.
Good. Good
Thank
for
you,
you.
buddy.
Guys will be
God
good
bless.
Doing whatever you're doing.
Thank you
God
so
bless.
much, Steve.
Be well.
You
Get rid of him!
All right.
assholes are laughing over here. God.
This is how much I miss
Christ.
Garrett. Two things. This is how much I miss Garrett. The guy goes, "I try it without breaking down," and then he goes, and then you just hear. which is that fucking used to floor me on Friday
God.
mornings every time.
He has no soul. It just does not exist.
And I love it so much. I love it. And then the other thing is, Ira over here, you hold up anything, and he's just, the guy's crying.
Pussy.
He's just crying, and he's just. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness. All right, let's go to Roger. And well, it doesn't say where he's from. Hey,
Roy
Roger.
Rogers.
Oh,
Hey,
my-
Roy. How you doing, Roy?
I've never been happier.
Hello.
Only one side of my headphones work. Hi. How are you, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
I'm glad to be on. I'm so sad and so bummed out about all this. I was driving cross country, and I looked at the clock. It said 3:04, and I was like, I got an hour before Jay goes on. And then right when I did that, I got a news alert on my phone saying that he died, and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it was like that quick.
Yeah.
It was so sudden. I thought it was like some cosmic joke. I'm like, that can't be.
A lot of people said that. We thought it was a hoax. We thought it was a joke.
Well, and I was saying to somebody, even if this was a bit, which would be the greatest bit ever, just the reaction and the placement of Jay's death that Jay would have gotten if he was alive, he would have said, "Just keep me dead. This publicity, you can't pay for publicity like this. I'm just going to pretend I'm still dead."
But he knew it too. I mean, like leading up to when he knew that he was going to be eventually. He's like, watch. They're gonna. He even said it in our sizzle package when we went. He goes, it would be funny if I died, right? They'd play that Santa Claus movie over and over and over again. I mean, like, he knows that the residual checks are coming through now, boy. Let me tell you, 25 cents here, 35 cents there.
That's right.
That was one of my favorite things that he used to do. Was he would read the checks off the air? Remember that? No, he used to read the amount and
38 cents.
Yep, and we go cha-ching.
Yeah.
Rack it all up, and it would be like a 149. Like,
So what was the last TV he did? Was it Ray Donovan?
Ray Donovan, yeah. And I'm not sure what's going to happen to the character of Marty Grossman because he is in this season. So
Yeah, he was filming all along, too.
Yeah. So
I got backdoored into Jay Thomas by listening to Howard 101.
Yeah.
And I know he was Eddie LeBeck and all that stuff, so I knew him as an actor. But when I started laughing. Really, I was like, he was saying the funniest shit. And then at one point, I'm like, oh my God, this guy's funnier than Howard. And that's when I was like, took me a minute to figure out that this guy's actually funnier than Howard. And I talked to you once, Shuli, in Boston after a show about how you're on two of the greatest radio shows right now, and it was this
Thank you,
show
buddy.
you did.
Yeah. Thank you for shitting on one of them. I appreciate it. I love you, pal.
Jay would get
it was good
so
seeing you.
mad when people would say,
Yeah.
I bought this for Howard, but shut the fuck up. What do you think this
I
is?
remember
That's
one of
not
the
going to help me.
One of the first few days I was on, like it might have been the third day I did the show with them, third Friday or something. Some guy goes, you think Rich is gonna suck Ronald's dick, right? And he just goes, listen to me. It's all bullshit. He goes, it's all wrestling over there. Don't you get it, man? It's all wrestling. And I was just like, man, so fucking angry.
One of your favorites, Jeff the Drunk, used to call into the show when I was working with Jay, and Jay finally
The way
looked at
he
me and
enunciated,
said, forget
he
it.
had this way of saying anything that ended in LK, like talk or fuck. He would like have this way of like enunciating, and no one else in radio
Get rid of him.
You guys ever notice that?
Thank you, Roger.
Yes.
Yes, we did. We
Sorry,
did
Lou.
notice.
You didn't have
Sorry.
headphones on. It wasn't your fault.
Yeah.
He could hear you
Yeah.
and just barreled through like a
Well, things haven't
fucking
changed much
truck.
since I left at Sirius,
Yeah.
and they don't put the
We
right
don't have
equipment in the
enough
room.
stuff ever.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but no, what I was saying is, I can remember your buddy Jeff the Drunk used to call Jay's
Yes,
show.
yes.
And finally, he looked at me one day and said, "I don't want him.
Yeah.
I don't want him at all.
Don't put him through.
Don't
anymore.
put him through.
Yeah.
I don't want him."
That's the thing about Jay. The same thing with clear the phones. We're done with this. I don't want to talk about this anymore. It's the only radio host that I've ever known to say, clear the phones. I don't need to talk about this.
Well, he did.
Like he would say to me, get off
That's
the microphone.
right.
Get out of the
That's
way.
right, Ira.
Put him in the
Go
back
out
of the room.
wall.
All right, you
Ira-
guys, we're taking your calls at 844-547-3287 to 844-J-Greats. Give us a call and share your J memories with us. I guess we'll be right back, right? We'll take a break. We'll
Yeah,
be right
I gotta
back.
pee.
Thanks.
SiriusXM remembers Jay Thomas on Comedy Greats Channel 94.
Jay, this is the DJ Dracula. Blah, blah. I want to drink your coke. Blah, blah.
Now, more of your memories of Jay Thomas and the Jay Thomas Show. They told me this is what he would have wanted. Well, why the bloody hell am I voicing this? He couldn't stand me. Rest in peace, Jay. And now, back to the show.
I'm just a man. La, 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 la,
Are you gonna sing more, Ira? You don't know the rest of the words?
to blow my bubbles away.
A heads up would have been nice, you fucking asshole.
No shit.
Welcome
Yeah.
to our tribute show to the great Jay Thomas. Shuli here with you, along with the smooth stylings of one Ira
Good
the Weatherman.
afternoon, Radio
Not
Land.
so smooth anymore. Very abrasive. Steve Gonzalez, Steve Griffiths, Garrett Andritz, Lou Pellegrino, my daughter, Christina Palumbo. We are all here
Gonzo.
celebrating the life and times of our great friend Jay Thomas.
And now Phil Otto.
And Phil Otto's on the phone. Phil, a contributor to the show, was a guest on the show a few times. Phil, welcome, buddy.
What's going on?
Hey, man.
Thanks
Hey,
for calling.
Phil, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, wonderful, Ira. I'd be better if Jay didn't screw me here. No radio career left. Thanks, Jay. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's what we're all saying. No, I'm just kidding.
Ira, I'm gonna have
contagious.
I'm gonna have to f- you around the casino now with sheets of paper and just write inappropriate stuff for you to say to people.
All right. Come up to
Thanks,
Empire City. Wednesday nights, they have comedy.
If you're looking for a yes and partner, you picked the wrong guy. I'll tell you
Oh,
that.
great. Thanks, Ira.
Not an improv.
Thank you. It's funny, we were talking about listening to you guys talk about this stuff with Jay, and one of the fun things that we did when I text jokes into you, Shuli, and Shuli, I have to thank you for hooking me up with Jay, and Jay brought me in to sit in for you a couple times and sit in with you, and I got to thank you for all that. That was huge. That was huge for me. Gave
My
me an
pleasure,
outlet.
Phil. You're a funny dude, man. And Phil, along with others, I used to jump on either a message board or on Facebook, and people that were listening live, they would send me messages to get Ira to say certain things. And, out of those people, there are a select few, Phil being one, my buddy Joe, another guy that...
Jeff Furlot, who can't get through,
yep.
but desperately,
Yeah,
I mean,
he texted me. Don't worry, he texted me, he called me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all these
Shout out to
guys
Jeff.
would I'd keep in contact with, and they would float me stuff during the show, and it was a fun family affair, man. We had a good time. We loved writing for Ira. Everybody did.
What I loved sometimes behind the scenes stuff was when Jay would get ticked off about something Ira was doing, and we would just go at it harder.
Yeah,
and tweak Jay more, and then some of the stuff that we put through as far as jokes, and Shuli, you said it a few times, I've said it a bunch of times, in that we would put things through, and you never knew what would get Jay.
Yeah.
And he would lose it on something. I was like, geez, that was almost like a throwaway line. And then Jay he'd die laughing and go to commercial break, or he'd bring it up 10 times later.
Oh,
we just
the
never
giggle.
knew.
The giggle was the
Yeah,
best
he'd
whenever
start
you really
or
got
giggling
him.
on the setup.
He had to go.
He was like goofy.
The one that sticks out in my mind the most, and I don't remember. I don't remember if it was Joe or you or maybe it was me, but it was after I got back from paternity leave, and it was when Garrett and it was when Garrett left for good. and we wrote the line, Garrett is on eternity leave, and he'd get that almost like underdog a little bit.
Nothing felt better than making Jay laugh.
And they go, go to break.
That was the best part of doing any of this stuff. It was, even if Jay didn't know I had written the line that Ira said or that you used or somebody else used, that I got Jay to laugh was all I needed to hear.
Yeah, that was the ultimate.
That was the best part.
And Jay really loved you. He thought that you were a funny
Way to
dude.
make it about you, pal.
I love that he's read it three different ways, 3 different times.
Well, thank you so much, Phil. I mean, we can't begin to thank you for all the stuff that you contributed to over
Phil,
the years.
one of these days we have to meet up together.
Yeah, he said
like
that
I said,
already.
I'm going to follow you around, Ira. I'll follow you around.
Okay.
Right line for you.
I'm sorry I missed that
We
joke.
have another special guest.
See you guys soon.
Bye, Phil.
Love you,
Thank
buddy.
you.
Bye.
Another special guest. Jay would want to hear the sound for this one.
Who is this? Oh!
Alex, gavel to gavel, is on the phone. Hi, Alex.
So, Christina, for some new listeners maybe tuning in that aren't familiar with Alex's work, who is Alex and how did he come to the show?
Well, Alex, Jay is obsessed with Alex, and he comes to us from the show, and he shares all of his legal knowledge with us, and he brings the stories that really get the juices flowing, and he fills us in. He's like our commentary for
Any court trial for Hulk Hogan.
All of it.
Casey Anthony.
I just said all of it like Jay does. All of it.
All of it.
Yeah. And everything else.
And Alex, are you an attorney?
Yes, I am an attorney.
He's a
I
very
do have a law
mysterious
degree.
person.
I
by
got
the way.
you. I
Alex
know.
Is very
Hence
mysterious.
only known as Alex
We
Gavel
think
to
he's
Gavel.
done some TV stuff.
I
we
got
don't know.
you. I've never been allowed to ask Alex questions.
Right.
Jay never allowed me because he knew what he knew what a hard hitting interviewer I was, and I will get what I want. And Alex knows that too. That's why you hear how nervous he is right now when I just asked him if he was an attorney.
Alex used to get Garrett's juices flowing for Jodi Arias,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And Tot Mom.
Yeah.
And Casey Anthony.
Casey Tot Mom, yeah. I mean, like, Alex would talk, and this one would be like in the background. So.
Well, Garrett likes it dark, like his soul.
Hey,
At the end, I wanted to tell Jay that Bill Cosby fired his attorneys and hired the attorney that got Michael Jackson off.
Son of a bitch.
Wow.
And Jay knows that attorney, Tom Mesereau, because he knows him from the Michael Jackson trial.
So, Alex, where were you when you heard the news?
I got an alert on, what was it, Thursday, I guess.
Yeah.
What were you wearing?
Hard hitting. Hard hitting.
I'll get there.
No, I just got that alert because Dawn, I guess, had contacted the Daily News.
Yeah.
And that hit me as an alert because I think I had Jay set up for any alerts on his name would come through to me.
Let me ask you this, Alex. You've done a lot of various shows, or maybe you haven't. I don't know.
We don't
You want
know.
to be mysterious, but where did Jay's show rank for you as far as doing the show, and was it different from other shows?
Jay was the top. He was a friend. I actually, no one really knows this, but Jay and I would speak off the air also. And I used to be on the Bob Grant show, and I would say Bob Grant was a classic as far as New York radio goes. And I thought Jay would last as long as Bob Grant did.
Right. Yeah, I could see that. And listen, I loved you on the show.
And I can tell you, Jay, to me personally, he loved Christina.
Yeah, no, I know that.
Absolutely loved her.
I know that. If you've ever
No,
seen her
he
chest,
loved me. Fuck you, Garrett.
if you've ever seen her rack, that's not hard to dispute.
He would fucking kill you for that comment. He
Who?
would- Jay. He
Really?
he hated it. He hated it
What, the
when they
rack?
used to. No. Just the
that.
just the idea of disclosing,
the
the sexualizing of me, because after a while I did become,
right.
at first he was fine with it.
Right.
It's a thick one. See? At first he was was real fine with it.
Alex, I know you're a private person, and if I'm going too far, just let me know. But I gotta ask this question because I know you're an honest person. F, marry, kill. Judge Judy, Judge Wapner, or Judge Reinhold? Go ahead.
No Aaron
I
Judge?
I think only one was a female in that list.
Wait, hold on.
Garrett, we'll do it our way on our show. Okay? Maybe you do stuff different at Compound, but this is how we do it here.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna go F with Judge Janine.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Judge,
yeah.
Where's Judge Judy? Are you marrying her? Or are you killing her?
I'd like to kill Judge Judy.
Why? She's loaded. You married Judge
Yeah,
Judy.
she's
you
a
got
marrying
money.
type.
She's stacked, too. You see that episode where she took her robe off?
Did you? Did you gavel to gavel?
Swear to God.
Huh? That's gavel to gavel coverage. You may lose your title to Garrett.
You know, she was known around the New York community, and she was a terrible judge.
Well, can I
she's
just?
a good, she's a good TV judge.
Right, that's why she's on TV. Yeah, that's a good point, Garrett. Garrett makes a good point. She was shitty enough to get on TV, not to the Supreme Court. We get it. But Alex, just for the record, Judge Reinhold is still holding up nicely, so don't shut the door on that either, okay?
Well, Alex, I can't thank you enough for all the years and years of contributions.
You were great on the
that
show,
you
buddy. You always
made here.
Yeah, you always made it exciting when you called the court cases. You always had great information, and
Jay looked
really,
forward to
yeah.
it. He truly did.
We
So
all
thank
did.
you
We
so
all
much.
did.
Yeah,
I
we all
know.
did.
I know. I really appreciated Jay, and Jay was so nice to me. I don't think he ever hung up on me.
No, I think he did once or twice.
Get him on!
All right, Alex. Thank you for calling. We appreciate it.
Okay,
so
hey,
much.
my love to all you guys. And
Thank you.
I'll still be listening to you, Christina.
Thank you. Well, I mean, where?
Thank you.
I don't
Open your
know.
window.
All right. Let's
We'll
go
all
to,
be yelling.
Let's go to Larry. It says Larry, Jay's friend for years. That's his name. Hey,
I'll
Larry.
be the judge of that.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hi.
you guys are doing a great job.
Thanks,
Thank you
Larry.
so much, Larry.
Boy, it's been a painful few days, and when Sally called me,
Yeah.
I believe him that he was a friend for a long time, just by the choke up.
You there?
Larry? Oh, maybe it wasn't a choke up. Maybe he actually left. Oh, well, hopefully.
Now
he
you're
can
calling
call
a guy
back
a
in.
pussy, and he's just driving through
Well,
a tunnel.
I mean, it's
no, you're a little out of
it's
line.
an emotional time,
No,
and
it is.
perhaps who
It
knows. Let's go to John.
Judy, are you marrying her? Or are you killing her?
I'd like to kill Judge Judy.
Why? She's loaded. You married Judge
Yeah,
Judy.
she's
you
a
got
marrying
money.
type.
She's stacked, too. You see that episode where she took her robe off?
Did you? Did you gavel to gavel?
Swear to God.
Huh? That's gavel to gavel coverage. You may lose your title to Garrett.
You know, she was known around the New York community, and she was a terrible judge.
Well, can I
she's
just?
A good, she's a good TV judge.
Right, that's why she's on TV. Yeah, that's a good point, Garrett. Garrett makes a good point. She was shitty enough to get on TV, not to the Supreme Court. We get it. But Alex, just for the record, Judge Reinhold is still holding up nicely, so don't shut the door on that either, okay?
Well, Alex, I can't thank you enough for all the years and years of contributions.
You were great on the
that
show,
you
buddy. You always
made here.
Yeah, you always made it exciting when you called the court cases. You always had great information, and
Jay looked
really,
forwed to
yeah.
it. He truly did.
We
So
all
thank
did.
you
We
so
all
much.
did.
Yeah,
I
we all
know.
did.
I know. I really appreciated Jay, and Jay was so nice to me. I don't think he ever hung up on me.
No, I think he did once or twice.
Get him on!
All right, Alex. Thank you for calling. We appreciate it.
Okay,
so
hey,
much.
my love to all you guys. And
Thank you.
I'll still be listening to you, Christina.
Thank you. Well, I mean, where?
Thank you.
I don't
Open your
know.
window.
All right. Let's
We'll
go
all
to
be yelling.
Let's go to Larry. It says Larry, Jay's friend for years. That's his name. Hey,
I'll
Larry.
be the judge of that.
Yeah.
hey,
Hi.
you guys are doing a great job.
Thanks,
Thank you
Larry.
so much, Larry.
Boy, it's been a painful few days, and when Sally called me,
Yeah.
I believe him that he was a friend for a long time, just by the choke up.
You there?
Larry? Oh, maybe it wasn't a choke up. Maybe he actually left. Oh, well, hopefully.
Now
he
you're
can
calling
call
the guy
back
a
in.
pussy, and he's just driving through a
Well,
tunnel.
I mean,
No, you're a little out of
it's
line.
an emotional time,
No,
and
it is.
perhaps who
It
knows. Let's go to John in Rochester. Hey, John.
John, not a close friend. Go ahead, John.
Larry?
What?
What?
John.
Oh.
John?
I thought it was John doing an impression of you. I was like, I don't know if we have a show, but we need to hire
4,
John.
5. Hey.
John?
Yes.
Hi, John.
Hey, buddy.
Oh, you're talking to me?
Yeah. John in Rochester.
Oh, all right, it's me. Yes, it has been a rough few days, and first when I saw it, because I knew his voice had been bad like a couple of weeks ago, and I thought it was just like him losing his voice, and even a couple of times I'm thinking, boy, he sounded a little drugged up. I'm thinking, boy, he's hitting the pot or whatever. And then you were away for a couple of weeks, and then I just by thinking, I did a Google search on Jay Thomas' voice, thinking that he's out for his voice, and then it came up that he had passed. It's been horrible. It's I can't believe how hard it has hit me.
Right.
That's the consensus with everybody who is like, man, I had no idea I cared as much about this guy as I do.
It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And he always seems so alive and so young. I did. How often did you guys see him? How often was he in the studio? We couldn't, like you say, it was seamless.
Maybe once, twice a year.
Yeah, I
at
mean,
the
in
most.
earlier years, it was more than twice a year, and then
Right.
it started to fade a little bit. And,
I mean, I remember.
Oh, really? Was it,
yeah.
so was that infrequent? Wow.
Well, I mean, a lot of people don't know. When I first joined the show, what was it, like 9 months, 10 months before I actually met him face to face? I mean, I literally just stepped on the show and we just started
Really?
screaming at each other, and we didn't even know each other,
Yeah,
and
I did his show.
and we hit it off immediately.
I did his show once or twice, and then the company had a Christmas party one year, and I walk into the club, and he walks right up to me. He goes, "You holding?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Follow me." And he'd opened this door into a nightclub, and I'm thinking, wow, he's been in this nightclub a million times. He's never been in it
yeah.
once. He just opened some door. We were in a hallway, and he's like, "Where's that? Let's go. Let's smoke." And I'm like, "Here?" And he's like, "Yeah, come on, you pussy." And I'm like, "All right."
Steve, remember when we were driving around New Orleans, and he just throws a bag of pot at me? He's like, "Roll this up!"
Roll this up. Driving down the street, smoking joints.
He was the man. He is the man.
Yeah, for sure.
The two things I love he used to do. He used to say, okay.
Okay. That and
I wanted so many times I wanted to call in and said and say that ask him if he realizes he sounds like was it Mr. Mackey on
yeah, Mr. Hanky.
South Park? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then his giggle. Yeah, his giggle. I loved his giggle, and he would get really.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, John, for sharing your memories with us. And,
Yes. I wish it was. Yes, I'll miss him horribly, terribly.
very much so. All right, cool. Thanks, John. Let's see. Let's go to
Remind me
Trent.
before we go, Christina, to tell the J. Robin Williams story.
Okay.
I want to tell
For
it before
sure.
we get off the air.
All right, cool. Trent, New Jersey.
Hey, Christina, how you doing?
Hey, Trent. Your
Hey,
phone sounds like crap, but we're okay.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Don't move.
Yeah. All right. Just saying, I'm gonna miss all the time.
You moved,
No,
didn't you?
you
You fucking moved. I
You
told
moved.
you not to move.
God damn it! It feels so good.
I'm
All
sorry.
right. Julie, why don't you give us
All right.
your story?
So this is my favorite story he's ever told me, and I love the Lone Ranger story, and I love all this stuff. But we were on the phone one night, and I told him something that happened in a comedy club that embarrassed me, and he said, "I can top it." He says, "I'm at the Improv. This is during Mork and Mindy." And Jay started as a stand-up. He's at the Improv in L.A., and he's sitting out in the back of the audience waiting to go on later. And he's watching Robin Williams on stage. And him and Robin did not have the greatest of relationships. I believe there was an argument or two over blow, maybe.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you just heard the eulogy that Jay gave him,
Yeah,
no?
yeah. So
Meanwhile, Kevin's getting so pissed off.
yeah. So Robin's on stage, and Jay's just sitting there watching him in the audience. And all of a sudden, Robin, in the middle of a 45-minute set, he's sweating, he's fucking destroying the room. He just starts looking, he starts squinting his eyes, he starts looking out into the audience. And he looks out in the audience and he goes, "Is that Jay?" And Jay's in the back and his eyes get big, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And he goes, "Jay, is that you?" And he goes, "Yeah." He's like, puts up his hand, and he goes, "Guys, I've known this man for some time now. I think he's one of the funniest human beings on the planet."
Shuley, you should tell the Robin Williams story.
It's a good idea, Ira.
So Jay calls me. So I'm sorry you woke up in the middle of that. So anyhow, Robin goes, "Is that you, Jay?" And Jay puts up his hand and he goes, "Folks, this guy's hilarious. I think so. I know you will too. You want to come up and do something? Jay, you want to come up? Come on up." And Jay stands up. And he's like, "Here we go." And as he stands up, he feels a hand on the back of his shoulder, and it's Jay Leno, who was behind him the entire time, who Robin was talking to the entire time, who Robin invited up to the stage. And I'm on the couch, and my jaw's on the floor, and Jay goes, and this was the line that fucking killed me, as he goes, "I went from having the greatest moment of my life to leading a standing fucking ovation for Jay Leno." Because he's the only one standing up in the room. So people turn around and go, "Oh, well, he's standing. Fuck it." And they all stand up thanks to Jay Thomas.
Unbelievable.
And that is, without a
good
doubt,
story.
my favorite fucking story he's ever told me. And this guy told me a ton. And I love them all.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, we got Harry on the line. He claims to be Jay Thomas's nephew. So, Harry?
Yeah. There's no money, dude.
Yep.
Hang up. There's no money.
I don't want it. I don't want it.
All right.
I don't want it.
All right.
Hey, Harry.
Am I live? Am I on
Yeah,
the radio?
You're on the radio,
You're on.
yeah. This doesn't run in the family, obviously, I guess, right?
I'd love if he goes, "I was just kidding. I do
Are we
want
on the
money."
air? What's the format here? Yeah, I'm Jay Thomas's nephew, Harry. I'm his brother's son, fucking obviously. But I heard you guys were doing a live show tribute to my uncle from his fucking terrible event. So I called in to see what this is, what to do. What are you guys doing?
Thank you.
How's this roll?
Well, it was rolling fine.
Yeah.
But we are just remembering the life and times of your uncle, our good friend Jay, and telling funny stories and letting listeners call in and share some of their favorite moments. So that's pretty much what we've been doing.
Awesome, guys. I appreciate it very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
All the best to you and your family,
so sorry
buddy.
You guys had to work with that guy. So.
Yeah, I knew it.
Well, at least
Yeah,
we're not
yeah.
related to him.
Yeah. All right, get rid of him.
Thank you, Harry, for
Bye.
calling. Let's try to blow through these. Leland in Washington.
That was family,
Leland, hey.
Hey, how are you guys?
Hi. You've called a lot,
Hey.
Leland. Master of funny
Couple times.
voices.
Oh, I don't think that's me, actually.
Oh, really? You sounded...
Well, yeah. I just want to say how much I love Jay and how much I've loved the show over the years, and I'm really going to miss it. And my all-time favorite interview was with Christina Wong, who wrote essays about men with Asian fetishes and white privilege, and she fucking hated Jay from the first second. And I believe the interview ended with her hanging up and saying, "Why don't you go suck your own dick?"
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
Classic Jay Thomas moment.
And that's a mark of a great interview.
Thank you,
Yeah, so
Leland.
thank you, guys. Thanks.
Everybody hearing the song, jeez, that really...
Yeah. He's awesome.
Yeah.
Whoa, hey.
Blue Apron. Let's go get stoned.
We just want to thank everybody.
Yeah, thanks for listening for all the years.
contributing and
Thank you to people like Lou and Garrett and Ragone.
Jeff Furlot, who couldn't call Al. Yep. Sean
Yeah.
Kelly, who
Sean
was
Kelly, Art Sears.
Yeah. Andrea.
Andrea.
Lauren Lieberman.
Wow.
Wow. Nice poll, dude. Of course, Sally and the family.
Yes, our
Everybody, we love you
condolences.
guys.
Rodney Licano.
Rodney,
Rodney.
shit.
Wow.
Robin Gould, was that
Wow.
Robin Gould?
Madison.
Rita Perlman.
Rita Perlman.
Brandon Williams.
Brandon.
Oh,
Wow.
handsome Brandon. That's right.
Yeah.
Britton.
Our boy toy.
Yep.
Britton.
Intern Rich.
Intern Rich, who's like a big actor now. Rich
Who was that
Pontillo.
other asshole intern that made me carry my own chair? That fucker.
Who was the
Oh,
intern?
remember him, Garrett?
No.
Oh, he was a.
Oh, he's head of comedy now. Hey, we're big fans, by the way. We're just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. We love you guys.
Thanks,
we love you,
everybody.
Jay. Let's get started.
Rest in peace, brother.
The one thing